Instead of trying to help a nigga, you destroy your brother. Worse, instead of trying to help a nigga, you destroy your brother. Worse.
When it comes to us fighting against us, it's so sad. Tamika Mallory and Mysonne have so much respect for their brother and sister because of things that they were doing into the community that was helping us, especially the systematic racism and issues that we deal with, like the injustices that go on, especially for black men. I appreciated them for that. But then what happens when it's a situation when it's us versus us and the gender war thing, which was a European thing, and we know post-slavery, during slavery, we had to stick together. Now it seems to turn into something where we're against each other. But when you look at the system, the biggest issue we had was facts of the matter. They were able to be diluted, converted, switched, hidden, all kinds of things, especially when it came to black men. If you don't know, 48% of the people that be released, when they found out that they were falsely accused, charged, and sent to prison, is black men, which I believe Tory Lanez is going to be one of those brothers. So the sad thing about this situation is they're not looking at that. They're saying that these women said that this brother did this, X, Y, and Z. But when you look at the facts of the case, when you look at the actual facts of the case, which I'm going to go into, the first report that came out didn't show Tory Lanez was the person or the culprit that did what they say he did and they tried to convict him of. When you go throughout the case, you see people change their statements, which Mysonne talks about being what he's going off. Because if he was actually going off the facts, trust me when I tell you right now that Mysonne would think about what they do to black men. And sadly, there are black females out there that will use the system against a black man to get what she wants and has evil and wicked intentions. I'm sorry to say it, but that is the reality. I know the difference between a sister and a heifer. I know the difference. And sadly enough, we cannot sit there and keep putting them together because this is where we're going with our community, especially the men. Now, we want them to do better and help them, whether male or female. Then guess what we got to do? We got to correct them and hold them accountable. So I'm going to go ahead and get into all the things that I'm talking about and the things that he talked about. So make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. We're going to get it in today. Believe that.
And if you're saying free Tory because you like Tory, you think he's a good singer, you think he's a good rapper, cool. Because we scream free our mans that we know that shot and kill people all the time. And that's your own bias. That's your own right. You like, yo, I don't think Tory should be in jail. I love him. He's my favorite artist. Cool. But if you're screaming free Tory and saying that Meg Thee Stallion is lying, there's the issue for me. I can't sit back just being a man of character and allow some shit like that to happen. I can't sit and watch the social media spin and create fake narratives and face facts about some real shit that happened to a woman who was shot. I wouldn't be the man I am. People going to sit around peacefully coexist. Some people going to say, yo, I'm not going to say nothing, but I would not be the man I am if I allowed that coward shit to go on. Right? If you like Tory, cool. But we're not going to ignore the facts of what happened to Meg Thee Stallion. Quote unquote, allegedly, Tory Lanez was fucking with Kelsey, right? And he cheated on Kelsey with Meg Thee Stallion. Ask yourself this question. These are two questions I need you to answer. If Tory Lanez alleges that Kelsey shot Meg Thee Stallion, and he was sleeping with Meg Thee Stallion behind Kelsey's back, why would he be calling Kelsey to tell her to apologize for him to Meg Thee Stallion? Why the fuck would he be asking her you should be apologizing to her for sleeping with Meg? And Meg damn sure don't want to hear from her if she's the person that shot her. Why would you be calling her thinking that and she's at the hospital with Megan. She just shot her. She's downstairs at the hospital waiting for her. And you on the phone saying you sorry. You were so drunk. You would have never done no shit like that. You don't even remember what the argument was about. But you apologizing to her for the argument, but you don't remember what the fuck the argument was about.
If you notice, everything that he's talking about on this clip, I'm gonna get to the next one. Everything he's talking about on this clip has to do with pulling at your heartstrings. such and such said this, such and such said that. Why would you do that? Because of that. The quote unquote facts he going off or the audio. The phone call he had with Chelsea saying, hey, I'm sorry, I was drunk. I would have never did nothing like that. That was some sucker shit. I don't even remember what we was arguing about. Then Kelsey saying, oh, you know, I was mad drunk too before you even got there. That's what he's talking about. Why would he have her apologize to her for what he did? Maybe because he's not able to reach her right now. It could be that. Like, everything is insinuating. That's all you can do is really insinuate. Because he said, I apologize. I don't even remember what we was arguing about. So that really don't have no bearings in what happened in the case factually. But if you want to go with that, that's cool. Forget about me saying what I'm saying because Tory got cool music and I'm an anti-Meg fan. Nah, it ain't got nothing to do with that, big dog. What it has to do with is the same thing I keep seeing what happened to brothers. And then what make it so sad, the same thing I see with certain types of females doing what they doing to brothers. That what bothers me. You're not going off none of the real facts. Everything they going off is hearsay. That's what I have a problem with and what he's doing and what Tamika Mallory and certain people are doing. And it's so sad because they'll say, don't nobody have our sisters back. That ain't true. That is not true. But the sad thing about it, you can't sit there and tell me that it's okay for this situation to happen. We're not going to go off actual facts and what really happened. No, we're just going to pull out people's heartstrings. So in this next clip, forget all that. In this next clip, where he does bring up, I'm going to go into certain things leading up to what happened during, and what happened after. That's what we really need to talk about. Forget all this heartstring pulling. Let's actually go out the facts.
You know what else was presented at trial? Kelsey's text messages. Kelsey text message, Meg's driver and bodyguard, 2 minutes after this happened, and said Tory just shot Meg. Look, I want you to look. You see this? This was presented at trial. This text message was presented at trial. You know what else was presented at trial? Kelsey's testimony. Now listen, everybody's saying Kelsey went in there. Now look, nigga doing what he got to do to get home. I'm not mad. You ran a game with Kelsey, it didn't work for you, right? She went there a couple of weeks prior and she gave her testimony. She told verbatim the same shit that Meg said, verbatim. She went in there afterwards and tried to help you. Guess you gave her some money, you did whatever you did. Cool. You did what you're supposed to do. You're trying to figure out how to get to jail. I can't be mad at a nigga trying to escape prison. But what I can be mad at is a nigga trying to make a woman who he shot look like the bad guy. So Kelsey walks in there and she gives a whole statement to the D. I'm gonna give you the key parts here. I want you to just listen.
Once again, kept talking about testimonies. Testimony. And you're using somebody who lied. But that's fine. You're using somebody who lied with somebody else who lied. Because Megan lied a couple of times. Then Megan lied and talking about she wasn't sleeping with Tory, which is a problem. Then Kelsey lied, switch up, said this. Oh, forget it. Let's just go ahead and start from the beginning. The first things that was coming out about the situation, because I guarantee you, every time they heard something, Mysonne and Tamika Mallory, I guarantee you they overlooked it. So let's just go ahead and get into the different reports and things that came out, the facts of the case. Not hearsay, facts.
April 17th. So this is April 17th. Look, let's look at this. Look, Kelly, which is Sean Kelly, I keep saying it. Kelly claimed he saw the driver exit wearing all black, and he joined the fray, which is like a whole little melee, a little argument or whatever the case is. Kelly was scared, and he asked his son to come into his room. He testified several times he saw a muzzle flash and heard what he thought was fireworks, but believes the flashes were from a woman. So what he told the police that night is that the muzzle flash, which would be the gun, when a gun shoots a bullet, it's almost like a little eruption. So that's the flash. Even if at nighttime you would see a little, like almost a little fire. He felt that came from a woman. He said that the night of. What did he say on the stand? Remember, he's saying on the stand, the flashes then came from him. I never saw a gun. He said he never saw a gun, but he's now saying the flashes that he previously said came from a woman, he's now saying came from a dude. And, you know, as he was talking about the short guy being irate, now he's kind of almost pinning it on Tory, saying that he saw the flashes come from Tory, which is Hey, it's interesting because when Kelsey switched up her story, it was like, oh no, let's play the initial interview. Tory's witness switched up the story, and nobody wants to care about the police report he gave, saying exactly the opposite now.
See that? That's what first came out. Now remember that. The first report came out, or the first account given was by Sean Kelly, that he heard something that sounded like firecrackers, but he seen flashes coming from a woman. And he also was saying that Tory was trying to stop the woman. Now I'm saying he gets to court, they say something about him talking to the prosecution, then coming down, and next thing you know, when he testifies, he's saying, oh, the guy, oh, the girl too, the little dude did the shoot, but y'all didn't hold him to the first report that he said. So guess what he's committing? Perjury. But that's okay then. Yeah, Mysonne and Tamika Mallory and everybody else that agrees with them is not going to go off of that. They're going to go off what he said, the testimony of Kelsey. Let's get into the testimony of what she said. Then she asked for immunity. Then next thing you know, she's on the stand. She don't remember. She's pleading the fifth. Let's go ahead and get into those news reports.
Aggravating third day of testimony for prosecutors trying the case in the shooting of rapper Megan Thee Stallion. The witness didn't answer most of their questions.
That witness will be back on the stand tomorrow. And Eyewitness News reporter Sophie Flay is live in the courthouse in downtown L.A. with the very latest. Sophie.
David, Megan Thee Stallion's former best friend and assistant, Kelsey Harris, took the stand today. When she got there, she was granted immunity. And her testimony seemed to leave prosecutors frustrated because she answered almost every question with, quote, I honestly don't remember. Tory Lanez allegedly shot the Grammy-winning artist Megan Thee Stallion in the foot July of 2020. Harris made it clear today that her memory from that night was blurry because there was a lot of alcohol involved. Back in September, Deputy District Attorney Kathy Taub recorded an interview with Harris recounting the night. A lot of that recording was played in court today to refresh Harris's memory about what happened that night in the Hollywood Hills. Harris describing each part of that night in specific detail. But in court today, Harris said a lot of the things she said in September weren't true, saying, quote, I was protecting myself. Prosecutors showed a text message Harris sent to Megan Thee Stallion security guard the night of the alleged attack that read, quote, help, Tory shot Meg, 911. But today, Harris claimed she doesn't know why she said that, saying she didn't see anything happen. Harris refused to refer to anything that night as a shooting, only that she heard gunshots. When asked if she was shot by Lanez, she issued her Fifth Amendment right. She also said that she did not want to be here today and that it was triggering for her, but she will be back in court tomorrow at 10 a.m.
That a kicker? You see everything that they're saying, the girl keep, you know what I'm saying, switching up her statements, trying to plead the fifth, had to get immunity and all of those things of that nature. He's saying that that's okay. Where she said he did shoot her. Then now the report saying she didn't say that. She's saying she don't know who did what. She heard shots, but she didn't see anything. But y'all still gonna go with that, even though she purged herself on the stand. Then trying to get immunity, plead fifth, so just in case they come back and get her, they still gonna get her when they find out she did the. You know what I'm saying? They still gonna get her. But sadly enough, bigger than that, y'all still don't care. Brother, you still don't care? You ain't going off of that? You ain't going off that as a fact? Well, this is the biggest fact that I would say, that since they ain't going off of it, y'all hypocrites, y'all really don't care about helping brothers. That's why I put that in the beginning. You'll destroy a nigga instead of trying to help a brother. So let's go get into the main thing that is the biggest factor of why the brother is innocent.
5 of the Tory Lanez felony assault trial concludes. Here's a recap. I was inside the Criminal Justice Center today and we heard testimony from Kelsey Harris, her audio interview with the prosecution from September. I said earlier that this was a big win for the prosecution because the jury got to hear her version of the events, and this time she was very clear, she was very concise, she was very confident, and one thing that she did point blank was say Tory shot Megan. She also said that he threatened to shoot her. The defense at that point was able to cross-examine the detective who was in the room during the interview. They didn't ask her too many questions. Here's where the defense had some success. There were several witnesses called by both the prosecution and the defense. They called a firearms examiner. He was somebody that was able just to speak to how a gun is shot, what the casings look like, and the positioning of the casings that were found at the scene. They also had a criminalist. This is another criminalist, and this is what he said. He analyzed Tory's DNA, and he said that there was no DNA from Tory Lanez on the magazine, and that he said that the results for his DNA on the gun were inconclusive. That was big. The defense was also able to call their own witness, another DNA expert, Mark Scott Taylor. He was able to also speak to the LAPD's DNA findings. He corroborated their findings that Tory's DNA was not found on the gun. He said, I would expect if a person's hands aren't gloved, DNA should be on that gun. So the defense used this as a time once again to make the jurors believe that perhaps Kelsey could have been the shooter. The trial is on recess till Monday. The defense still has an opportunity to call some more witnesses. One person that we have not heard from is the fourth person in the car, Jaquan, and there is a possibility that he may be called to testify. We've also heard during the opening statements from defense that others like Corey Gamble could be called to testify, and obviously the stylist, EJ, who's been named several times, could also be called to testify. So we will be back here Monday with more from the Tory Lanez felony assault trial. For HipHollywood.com, I'm Jasmine Simpkins.
So you got to hear those reports, news reports, right? You got the chance to hear things kept being switched by Kelsey Harris, and she said one thing in the audio recording, but then next thing you know, she got on stand and said something totally different. In a different case, let's keep it real. If it was us compared to like versus white people, if that was a white officer, we were like, that testimony needs to be thrown out. Once that happened, Sean Kelly, once he showed that he lied, you know what I'm saying, on the stand versus what he said in the first report, we need to throw that out. Now, get down to the nitty and gritty. What would we use? Evidence. Evidence. So if the evidence is showing the brother's handprints were not on the firearm or the clip of the firearm, what else do we need to see? Once you hear that, you should be questioning everything. And this is what's so sad, man. We see some well-to-do black folks trying to do something good, career and all that, whether you agree or disagree with Meg's music or Tory Lanez music and all of that. But you see people trying to do something, and we always try our best to root for that. But then when we see a situation where it becomes this gender war shit, and it's us, knowing damn well if it was them, we be like, oh, no, Tory's innocent. The same thing with George Zimmerman and Trayvon Martin, rest in peace to the young brother. We all know that young brother, you know what I'm saying, had the right to stand his ground. You know, Floridian. I'm a Floridian. I know. He had the right to stand his ground. He was a 17-year-old child. George Zimmerman did what he did, and we know damn well that he was guilty. But with the facts there, fuck what you feel. When I look at the facts of what happened, George Zimmerman was dead wrong. He was supposed to fucking go to prison for life. They told him to fall back, the operator. He wasn't supposed to go ahead and follow him. You're not supposed to do that when you're part of the neighborhood watch. You're supposed to call the police and watch them handle it. And he still did it anyway. He was drunk, running around with power, with a weapon and all of that, and did what he did, and a young brother lost his life. Come on, we already know that he was guilty. I'm looking at the facts. But with the case of this, let's say even if I was a Meg Thee Stallion fan, like a huge Meg Thee Stallion fan, right? But I'm seeing these facts, and it's like, damn, they lying on the brother. But let's reverse it. Let's say if I was a Tory Lanez fan, and come to find out with the facts, he did what he did. Guess what? Sayonara, bro. You going to prison. You a fuck boy for doing some shit like that, boy. Fuck you. You going to prison, bro. You make some good music, but you're going your ass to jail. If I'm going off facts, that's all I would care about. But that's what I'm going off. So I'm going to land my plane here. This is what I think happened off of the facts, off of what we seen, off of what was reported, and what came down to the DNA, which is something that you can not deny. So let's go off what happened. Initially, they go to Kylie Jenner's house. Tory trying to flirt around with Meg, but, you know, he probably got his eye on Kylie Jenner. Meg ain't liking that. She go get Kelsey. They get into, you know what I'm saying, kind of like, man, F him, we finna get up out of here. The next thing you know, Meg has Jaquan, Tory's driver, bring them back. Somebody she forgot clothes or some flip-flops or something. She go in there and start a situation with Tory because he see him messing around with Kylie Jenner. She get him out of there. Because Kylie looking like, I don't want nothing to do. Y'all get the fuck out of my house, from my understanding. And then they get back in the car, and now they arguing. Tory looking like, man, who you talking to? I know you ain't trying to try me like I'm cheating on Kelsey, but you ain't had no problem when we was knocking boots. Kelsey, so here's this. She's surprised, like, what the fuck? They going off. They going back and forth. Man, you ain't this. You ain't shit. You just jealous. You just hating Meg saying this to Tory. Tory like, nah, don't even try that, bro. Fuck you. My career is my career. But what about your homegirl? Y'all, we was knocking boots, but you trying to make it seem like I'm wrong for trying to holler at Kylie Jenner. But I fucked you. Kelsey and Meg get into it, but before that really escalate, man, like, man, don't fuck that nigga. You ain't listening to that, man. Whatever. Pull over, Jaquan. Pull up. Let me get out this car. She get out, talking about she gonna go to the bus. Tory try to get her to calm down, like, all right, man, my bad, blah. They get back in the car. Now, she said, Kelsey tried to say something about, oh, Tory won't let it go. No. Going off my opinion, what I think happened. They get back in the car after he kind of calms down, Meg, like, we gonna just get y'all where y'all going. Kelsey don't want to let it go. She's still going off. So her and Meg start getting into an argument. The driver, Tory trying to, like, man, y'all chill. Next thing you know, they start throwing blows. It might have been Kelsey that threw the first blow, because, like, what, bitch, you did this. Because within that first argument, Tory brings up, oh, you gonna act like we did fuck? What about your homeboy that they fucked? Tory probably looked at Kelsey like, yeah, didn't she fuck such and such? You don't think she ain't fuck me? So that's going through Kelsey's mind, so they throwing blows. The driver pulls over. They jump out the car. They get out the car trying to stop them to chill out the melee or whatever. They get in between, and then Tory's over there with Meg, gives Kelsey a chance to go back to the vehicle, go grab the blammer. She go ahead and start busting those shots. Tory turn around and see this and runs over to her trying to stop her, slaps her hand down. Sean Kelly, meanwhile, hearing this, he said something about he told his son go back in because he heard them arguing. Next thing you know, he sees the shots. It's actually your girl Kelsey busting off the shots. Tory's trying to stop her, pushing her hand down. And when she says he put his hands on me, I'm thinking Tory had to aggressively handle her to get the gun, get her to chill out and all that. She probably dropped the gun. Quan probably grabbed the gun, put the gun in, and then next thing they know, Meg's been injured, so they both try to get her in there. Kelsey turned around and be like, oh, Meg, you okay? She fucked up in head like, damn, I didn't mean to do that. So by the time they get in the car trying to get Meg to some help or whatever, the police pull them over. It makes everybody get out the car. Then there you go. Tory gets arrested. Kelsey gets arrested. The driver gets arrested. Meg gets taken to the hospital for whatever happened. You know what I'm saying? They said the glass, but let's say it was a shot. Next thing you know, she lies about it, say it was glass, trying to protect them or whatever, because they all fucked up. And then Tory calls Kelsey after Kelsey and Quan gets out of prison. He's drunk still, and then he's like, man, I fucked up, man. I can't believe I did that. The whole while, in my mind, in my opinion, all he's talking about sucker shit. He shouldn't have said nothing. He should have just been cool or whatever, and he should have just let them talk trash or let Meg talk trash, got him out there so he can go ahead and sneak back to Kylie Jenner's house. To me, in my opinion, that's what happened. And the saddest thing about that with my son, Tamika Mallory, what I said, going back there, I'm going to land my plane here. It's so fucking sad. Y'all say y'all want to stand up and help brothers. But then when you mean to tell me if it comes down to us versus us, especially this gender war shit, y'all switch sides. That's a damn shame. This your boy JTL, a.k.a. Big Op. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe to the JVJ Network. You know what it is.